Bob, we're going live now.
Okay.
So, just so you're aware.
Things that we just have.
Yep.
I'm gonna spend I'll be waiting on
I don't want anything but here it is. Thank you for what you showed.
Sarah wants to know. I tried, Sarah.
Exactly. Wait a minute.
I know, I didn't think of it.
Does anyone else want one? I do have a few.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I guess there is. Okay, yeah, okay. Joe, the tourism.
I'll replace it.
Things that you just have.
These?
It's probably,
No, the
you might
little
look at the
sheet
date.
right
and
now,
move.
yeah, there is
The little sheet.
to break out my.
But it's been.
Time
Oh,
sheets.
yeah, you got it.
Or even-
The one resolution.
Is this your only one?
No, I've already filled mine out. Hey. Can you run the timer? Got it. It's
Raise will ever be.
got a whole stack of firewood sitting there. It's not that bad.
I don't like it. Four. Oh, well, you are very welcome.
And he don't mind.
Thanks. You're on a roll today, mister.
Too much caffeine.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's in trouble. I got up way too early. I had 6 hours. Yesterday. Thank you.
I haven't done one of these in a long time, so you guys have to bear with me.
Oh.
I may ask you to repeat. Good, we'll bear with everybody.
We're about as experienced as you are. This is good old number 2 for us.
I've done more than 2. But it's been awesome.
So we're taking your guidance?
No, taking place.
Call the meeting to order. Commissioners, please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our prayer this today, O Lord God, we come before thee in prayer, acknowledging the blessings of government and administration. Thou art a God of order and hast blessed us with the establishment of governing officials to provide civil harmony and concord. Be with us in this meeting and give us strength and wisdom to pursue goals which please thee. Grant us the courage to support those things which are right and according to thy ordinances. For we ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Crook,
Here.
Tellini,
Here.
Presque,
Here.
Hughes,
Here.
Libby.
Here.
Approval of the agenda, conditions or deletions.
I have one. I'm sorry. I have an architect invoice that was submitted January the 6th. Is that part of our bill pay this month?
Can I see it, please?
Yes. This is provided by Clerk Darga for the ongoing HVAC system
I
design.
believe it is. Without being able to pull it up, I don't know. Yeah, it would be, if it's been submitted, it will be in claims audit.
Okay.
Maybe
Thank
that's something.
Nope.
Joe Brubaker, sheriff, wants to be plugged in after public comment. And right after Mike Meyer from Target, Dina, Judy Gilder,
Judgment.
Judge Gilder, excuse me.
With public comment.
The only other thing was number 3 in new business. Scratch that off. Sheriff's Department.
Where's public comment?
It'll be after the treasurer's report.
Let's put that in officially.
It's citizens appearing for the board.
Citizens. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Just different word. My fault.
Mr. Brubaker's after citizens. James, amendments. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and support. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Conflict disclosure. Is there any conflicts? Anybody have an agenda? Anybody have conflicts, anything on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the minutes. Minutes of the meeting, January 9th.
I didn't. Make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 9th meeting.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have support. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report.
Good morning, everybody. This is the treasurer's report for the month of December of 2024. The total collected taxes and spread in December were $33,091.52. Year-to-date total, $4,672,736.23. Total of general fund revenue for December was $376,782.44, with a year-to-date of $5,638,761.61. Total general fund expenditures for December were $394,657.95, with a year-to-date of $3,222,496.59. The change in fund equity for the fiscal year was $2,416,265.02. The balance in the general checking is $2,249,115.96.
question.
Mhm.
You said fiscal year versus calendar year. Is this fiscal year versus calendar? Year?
We are fiscal year. Yeah,
Gotcha.
your fiscal year, July 1 through June 30.
Okay, thank you.
The budget, as far as the budget, all the revenues were normal and regular. The expenses were normal. They included wages, insurance, routine monthly expenditures. I have also attached in your packet a list of the current investments, and it shows when the investment was made, the financial institution, the amount, the interest rate, current balance if it's applicable, and the date of maturity, and also the fund that it relates to. You can see we have CDs at Huron State Bank and Awaken Federal Credit Union, and we have a liquid investment with Michigan Class. And Michigan Class has a daily variable rate. Those investments are on demand, which means if we call them any day before 3 p.m., we can get the money by 4:30. So yeah, it is. Yeah, it is quick. So I have the investments as of January 1 with their balances there. But then I also included what I just printed off this morning from Michigan Class, which shows the balances as of today on this sheet. I also included for you the daily rates for the month of January, so you can see it does change daily, what the rates are. You know, they are, I mean, they're holding still at 4.5%. So they're not horrible. So we're making some money on that, which is good. We do have $1.5 million of our ARPA money in Michigan Class, so we're making some interest on that before we expend it. And the only requirement of that is that that interest is spent the same way the ARPA money is spent. So that's where we're at with that. Does anyone have any questions? Because I know this is the first time a lot of you have seen the investments.
Have you ever got a interest rate from, you know, from credit union?
I haven't because I
Right here in town.
yeah, I haven't because we did put 1 million of general fund money because they had a special at the Onaway Credit Union.
Right.
And that
I
was
was just
4.25 and it was just a 5-month. So I will get some rates to see when this renews, if, because we possibly will need to pull that money to finish the, you know, the year, the budget year out.
Just check it out, because the road commission seem to be higher or something.
Okay, but are they longer term?
No, she's kind of fairly short, 3 months.
Okay, all right, I will check into that then. And then, okay. Just going over some of the other things that we're working on in our office. The collection of winter taxes are continuing, and the spreading of the winter levies is being completed every 2 weeks. Those levies are the senior services, district library, resource recovery, which is recycling, school resource officer, Roger City ambulance, Roger City fire, and the COP educational service district. And you're gonna see those revenues on next month's reports. So you'll see what's coming into those levies. We completed a large mailing to all the people who had interest in foreclosed properties that sold above the minimum bid. And it dated back to 2013 through 2020. This is in relation to the lawsuit of the takings of property. This was something our legal counsel recommended that we do. We do have the claims process listed on the website as well. Claims need to be received by March 31st. And any claims that we receive by that date will continue the process and it will go through circuit court. So there'll be more filings that we need to do, but ultimately it will be the court who decides excess proceeds and where they go. The forfeiture and foreclosure process is continuing. On March 1st, 2024, we had 376 properties that were put in forfeiture. 186 of those parcels were personally served on November 1st. We currently have 133 still in forfeiture and facing foreclosure on April 1st for non-payment of the 2022 taxes. We held our hardship hearing on Wednesday and it was very busy. Last year, I believe we had 2 people who applied for hardship. We had 9 applications this year. 4 of them were first time, so it's an automatic extension of time. It's not a forgiving of any interest, any penalties, anything. It just gives them more time because the last thing we want to do is take someone's home. The only applicants that qualifiers, it has to be their homestead. And so, I sat down with people and we talked about a plan for them to, possibly apply for some help other places, possibly go to a bank, get a mortgage, and I don't have a mortgage on the home, ways that they can get caught up. So,
Question?
Yep.
In this lawsuit, is it being taken into account the fact that while there may be 20% of the tax foreclosures that are sold above what is owed, do they also take into account those that are sold for below what they are owed?
no,
Of course they
unfortunately not, no. We eat whatever loss we eat.
They
So,
want us to eat the loss, but give them the money that
Right.
we make.
and the lawsuit, nobody can really understand the lawsuit because every county treasurer has to follow state laws.
Right.
And that's what the state law said. That's what the state law is still. And yet every treasurer followed the state law and every treasurer is getting sued. So,
I was familiar, but I wanted everybody else
yeah.
to know.
Yeah. So that, we have ongoing legal bills, which I don't know, you guys really don't see them. There's a bill that our office gets and it's paid through the tax fund. There's a bill that actually comes to the Presque County Board of Commissioners, but that bill is also given to the treasurer's office and we pay it out of the tax funds. So it's not coming out of the general fund. But I can get you those numbers so that you have an idea of how much money has been spent in legal fees since this started.
Be good
That's a
to know.
lot, every month. So,
How much time on the hardship do they extend?
1 year.
1 year.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
It's well done.
Is there a motion? to accept the treasurer's report?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
And file it.
Thank you.
Got a
Nice
second?
work.
Any motion to support, accept the file the treasurer's report, all in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
opposed. Motion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Citizens appearing before the board.
Hello, this is a letter I wrote to the editor last week. Some of you may have read it and some of you have not. I'll repeat it. To the editor, I don't believe that any public body should say a prayer at their public meeting, whether it's for themselves or to the man in the moon. Once the board says a Christian prayer, it sounds suspiciously like Christianity has become the county's official religion. That makes some of us, Christians included, uncomfortable. It places a subtle influence in the minds of many. So what happens to the rest of us? Are we drummed out of the county, sent to jail, locked into stocks complete with rotten tomatoes? Will we be hung or relegated to a ghetto? Don't laugh. History has a tendency to repeat itself, especially in political times like these. We're not looking for a place to hand out pamphlets or for press coverage to push our beliefs or to start a brawl in the courthouse. The point is that if the board can recite a prayer during a public meeting, then so can we. Not during public comment, but directly after the board members say theirs. Karen Vermillion.
Wayne?
Generally speaking, I would never challenge anyone's faith out there. But when it comes in here, that can be a problem. You see, in here, in the public space, this is about, well, faith, by definition, is something that can't be proven. Okay? In here, it's about truth and facts. And it's very important. You have the authority to force me to give you money. through my taxes. And so you need to play by the public rules. Now, if you go upstairs to these courthouses or these courtrooms and tell the judge that Santa Claus made me do it, you're going to jail, okay? Because truth and facts matter in the courtrooms up there, and they also matter here. So in that light, I have requested, I filed a FOIA request with your civil counsel, who is the county prosecutor. I don't know if he's here this morning or not. He is by statute your civil counsel. And I filed a FOIA request for the specific statutory authority or other written reference that Mr. Buffalo made to you orally that said you can go ahead and exclude the public from sharing prayers during your prayer time. And I don't believe anything exists, but I would suggest to you that anytime you get an opinion from your prosecuting attorney or any attorney, that it be in writing, and it specifically state the statutory authority or other court references or some legal reference that authorizes that action that they're suggesting to you or requesting to you, because failure to do that, you can wander into these areas where you get in trouble. And this county has settled, I don't even want to put a number on it, but you'll see the numbers, lots of dollars worth of litigation costs because the board wandered into these areas that they didn't understand what they were getting involved in. And you've got a situation out here now, I don't know if there's anyone here from Lake Esau or Grand Lake. You've got a situation out there. I was a little disappointed. There was only one commissioner that attended that meeting the other day, that informational meeting. That is a situation that could be potentially explosive, and you need to follow those things. But when you get an opinion from legal counsel or any legal opinion, it should be in writing, and it should state the statutory authority or whatever legal reference they have so that it can be discussed. Now, depending on what I hear from the prosecutor's office, that's a federal issue. That's a First Amendment issue, and that's not up here in the circuit court. That's in Bay City. So again, take a deep breath, back her down, and have a little bit of respect for everyone that lives in the county. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public? Mr. Chapa.
John Chapa from Pulaski Township. I'm just here to, I see myself as a fiscal conservative, and I understand you watching our tax dollars, and I really like that because that's what I did when I was on this board. And I think it's one of your most important duties. But I think you need to look hard at the matter of funding target, because I think it's a bargain for the county. Mike Mahler does a hell of a job. He's a county resident, and I think you need to go ahead with funding that target position. I've been on that board and I've seen the work they do. You won't get a better deal any other way. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anybody else? Public comment? Joe Burbaker.
Morning, Sheriff Joe Brubaker. This is Deputy David Moulton. I felt it important this morning. I appreciate the board fitting this in real quick because I want him to go back on the road right now because he's on the clock. But as everybody knows, there was an incident 2 weeks ago in our county. This is a young man that was involved in the officer involved shooting who got shot at.
Let you.
And we almost lost him. And it's by the grace of our Almighty God that this man is standing here today. Because I watched the body cam footage so much. And I've listened to the calls and I've done everything else. And I'll tell you, as a person standing here, I've been speaking at events for over 30 years. And right now my heart's going. Because as a sheriff, that's the one call you don't want. That when your officer's involved in a shooting, and I might have lost him. And it was a regular call that we go on, we're looking at it, we're gonna train from it. But I wanted the board to put a face to the name to see the person, because today's his first day back. So after an event that happens like that, you get put on administrative leave immediately. And I have to call MSP or another entity in to investigate it to make sure all the i's were dotted and all the t's were crossed. And that was done. And it's a very thorough investigation. Right down to the point is that day, when we pull him off, they bring him back to the department, he gets stripped right down to his underwear and they take everything. And they investigate everything. His clothes, his body cam, his radio, the footage. He goes through it, all the testing, unions, the lawyers, all been involved in the last 2 weeks with this young man. And I just felt it was very important that you guys see him and to realize that is a call that no county wants to get. And that he is standing right here looking at you guys say as a deputy for Presque County, and I'm very proud of him. I watched the footage. I can't even come up with a thing that he could have done anything even remotely different. Okay, so that's the formula that we do is when we call investigation in. And with him back today, he was very excited to come back. Everybody's been asking, how's he doing? How's he doing? Well, folks, he's here.
Question, Joe. You and I talked about this the other day.
Yep.
And we're thankful, officer, that you survived. Now, you felt a bullet go by your ear.
Correct.
And then I read in the paper, there were more shots fired by that 59-year-old gentleman. You were hiding behind the car with the lady, right?
Correct.
Did your car suffer any damage?
No.
You missed the car too?
He didn't have a shot at the car.
You were behind it. What was you shooting at?
The way the house was set up, I'll tell you real quick, the way the house was, David went to back of the house, was waiting for his backup. The lady that was in the house had come out to
Right.
try to talk the deputy away because the guy in the house seen the car and got upset, and was gonna kill her. She
Okay.
goes, let me tell him to go away. And when she stepped out, David stepped out, he seen David. And that's when the gunfire started.
Okay.
So the car was back up on the road because David had backed out of the driveway. So, and that's when it went down. And it was, I was talking to Mike real quick and the old cliche, you never know what happens. Every call, never call is the same. This is it. This is one of those times where 100 times we go to houses, welfare check, just go check on them, just go make sure they're okay. We go up to the door, hey, you guys all right here? That's the calls that they went bad. But an MSP is still, they finished their investigation on him. They cleared him. Our prosecutor's office cleared him. We went through all our policy and procedures so the county board knows and all the people and the citizens know. He went through every policy and procedure, step by step by step. We were cleared by that. All the boxes have been checked. And he's fit to go back. And hopefully the situation, I never have to be in front of you guys standing here with a deputy like this again. Part of my career or anybody else that does this, because the last time officer was shot was our sheriff. And that was Dwayne Batter. And he did the complacent call, go to a call, talk to that guy many times. I'll talk him down today. And Sheriff Batter went there and the guy lowered a gun, shot him dead. So it's just a call that we never know. We see it on TV all the time. And what's the cliche? Doesn't happen up in small towns. That stuff's just in big cities. That stuff just happens down there. School shootings just happen in other areas. Deputies, you guys, you guys are all right. You guys don't do much up there.
Yeah.
Well, so but I thank you guys. If you guys have any questions, he's on today. You can ask me, but I just felt it very, very important for the board and for the citizens of Presque County to see this young man and say how thankful I am right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
You guys
service.
got any questions for David?
And thank you for your service. I don't know you, but I coached your brother Michael in football.
I remember.
And I know your parents real well. And you got some great parents and they raised an outstanding young man.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything. Thank God you're here.
Oh, it is. And I said, he's a good Christian-based man right here, and David knows he doesn't get embarrassed, he's at my department and every time he eats, he says a prayer for everybody and he's very Christian-based and I think that means a lot. His mind is super alert and everything I watched that day, he did it spot on. I mean, when you're calling out, I'm being shot at on the radio, he did it immediately. Most people would be diving, getting out of the way because bullets are coming. He's immediately already on the radio saying, shots fired, I didn't get hit, shots fired. He's immediately doing all the steps, muscle memory training. He did that. And I'm super impressed. He's been for 3 years. He's a 3-year deputy. And it just, I praise him enough and for him just being here today. So, all right, thank you guys for putting me in the front, because I want to go back on the road.
Thank you, guys.
So,
Take care.
thank you.
Next up is Mike from Target. Mike,
Good morning.
morning.
Actually, a pretty tough act to follow, actually. I'm glad it all worked out the way it did. So good morning, I'm Mike Mahler. I'm the Economic Development Director of Target Alpena. I got a couple of friends with here with me today. Lenny Avery, he'll address you when I'm done. And I also have Joe Carr here, and he'll also address you when I'm done. So I appreciate the indulgence. I know that Cliff Sweeney had wanted this for the last meeting. You see this body of work we put together here is almost 80 pages. And I told Cliff, I said, 24 hours is not enough time for me to do this proper, particularly given the fact you've got so many new commissioners here. And I know a lot of you don't know me at all, don't know any of us. And so I'm going to ask for your indulgence today. Typically, we'd be a lot more succinct when we do this, but today I'm going to go into a little more detail, a little bit about who we are, who I am, how I got to this spot. And so I just beg your indulgence up front here to be patient with us as we walk through that. I trust everybody's gonna read it, so I'm not gonna read this document to you.
No,
But I'm gonna touch on just some of the high points within it though. Before I go there, and then I'll open up for questions at the end, but before I go there, just who am I? So by way of introduction, like I said, I'm Mike Mahler, Director of Target Alpena. I've been there for 6 years. This is starting my 6th year here. I am a Presque County resident. I live out in Grand Lake on US 23. Matter of fact, that deputy was involved in an accident right in front of my house. He was there for several hours, first one on the scene. And so I met him then. So today's the second time I had a chance to chat with him. So anyway, I live out on Grand Lake. By way of my involvement, I'll just talk about things I'm presently involved in right now in our community. And this is the boards I serve on. So I'm the president of the City of Alpena Brownfield Authority. I'm the president of the Alpena Township Brownfield Authority. I'm the president of the Alpena DDA, been on that board for 17 or 18 years. Also on the AME ESD board, which is the Intermediate School District Board in Alpena. I've been on that role for over 10 years. I'm on the Michigan Unmanned Aerial Systems Consortium Board, which plays into Presque County, and maybe you've read a little bit of that in my report. And then as of Monday, I'm being appointed to the brand new Corridor Improvement Authority that was formed in Alpena to help a development project that needs TIF support. So newly formed committee, I'm going to be appointed by the city council on Monday this upcoming week. By way of background, 35 years working in financial capacities. I ended up here in Presque County when Stoneport, many of you know the Stoneport out on East Grand Lake Road, the limestone quarry now owned by Lafarge. I was sent there as a plant controller back in 1997. So prior to that, I worked for LTD Steel, who owns Stoneport. That's why I ended up in that location, in that role. From there, we sold it to Lafarge in 2000, and I was not needed in that role. So I jumped over to Besser for 2 years, where I was hired to be the controller and treasurer of the company, and then tapped to be the CFO when Jim Arbuckle was about to retire. Great job, great opportunity. A little too much travel for me, though, and a young family. So at that point, I left and went to work for an organization called First Federal of Northern Michigan, serves all of Northeast Michigan. And so I was in that role, hired as a CFO, publicly traded company. And the reason it's important here, there aren't too many companies north of 55 that are headquartered in Michigan that are publicly traded. I can tell you this may be the only one, which meant my shareholders were mutual funds from New York, sophisticated investors, pension plans from California. That was my shareholder base. And we were an SEC registrant, which meant that all the SEC requirements, all the big companies, we were also held to those same standards. And so, and I held that job for 18 years. So CFO, became the president, 2 years later became the CEO, where I served out in that role until the sale of the bank in 1998. They kept me around for 1 year. They didn't need me. The bank that bought us had their own CEO. So I was essentially let loose at that point. And that's how I ended up in this role. So that's my way of background. I have a bachelor's degree from Purdue University in finance. I have a master's degree from Michigan State University, an MBA. Earned in East Lansing while I was living up here, drove 30,000 miles for 2 years to get an MBA there. So that's my training. That's my background. That's kind of my story. So when I left that role, at the bank. It took about 9 months to figure out what I want to do until I am ready to retire. And so this opportunity came up here. The gentleman who had this job before me, named Jim Clarich, he held the job for 5 years, did a fabulous job. I had a lot of interaction with Jim as an economic development person because I was the CEO of the bank that was involved in a lot of different opportunities in the area in northern Michigan. So Jim and I had history together. So when he left this job, I'm like, that'd be a pretty, I think, good opportunity for me. I knew Joe Sircone, who was involved in this role locally. I knew Joe from my days at Besser, being a close personal friend. And so when I took this job, one of the first calls I was to Joe Sircone just to get his take on Presque County, serving Presque County. So I started in January of 2000, and we all know that by February 2000, COVID kind of became an issue. And that really changed things pretty dramatically. So when I started single employee, just me, serving Alpena County and Presque County. So the COVID years or the COVID period thrust us in kind of a unique situation here. We were asked, Target Alpena, and me to help support Presque County through state level grant programs that were designed to help keep small businesses afloat. And so they entrusted me with what amounted to be $5.5 million over a span of about 12 months to get in the hands as quickly as we could businesses that were suffering and do it on a proportionate and balanced way. And so I recruited a couple people from the EDC board in Presque County to serve on a committee to help with that. When that was all done, we dished out about $68,000 to local small businesses in Presque County to help keep them afloat during that period of time. 3 grant cycles, I think we had 150 probably applications from Presque County businesses that we supported. So that was sort of a kind of a very unique start to this role. But it was what it was. We dealt with it as best we could. I think we did a really nice job in getting the money out, like I said, effectively and timely and properly. So once we got kind of clear of the COVID thing, it was kind of back to blocking and tackling, just doing work to represent the county. So again, I'm part-time Alpena, part-time Presque County. And so kind of getting back to the more routine matters of economic development. I serve on the EDC board here. Presque County didn't mention that and I right up early on, but I do serve on the Presque County EDC board. Did that because it was hard to recruit board members and we needed a certain number. And so they asked me to, so while I serve the board, I also sit on that same board. And so we began kind of blocking and tackling, right? Let's create a website. Presque County has no economic development website. So they said, Mike, create one. And so I was able to bring people in from my previous life that I knew could do good work there, with the support of the EDC board, and we created a website. And I don't know if any of you, I mentioned it in my report, hope you all went out and took a look at it. It's legit. A legitimate website didn't exist before we started in this role. Also, we started a marketing campaign. The whole idea was bring eyes to this county, eyes in this county. So we started with billboards. We put billboards up on I-75. So if you're approaching Gaylord, exit 282, northbound, you see sign visit Presque. Matter of fact, so we started a billboard campaign, ran for several months, again, to draw eyes on our county for people heading north. We also started targeting ads through the internet. So someone in the southern, we took 11 counties in southeast Michigan. Anybody who types start a business, location to start a business, location to grow a business, we had targeted ads that would immediately trigger them or show them Presque County, take them to our website and generate an email to me. And then I would follow up to them and say, what is it you're thinking about doing? So these kinds of things weren't being done prior to our involvement, and now they are being done. Also, there was, again, I'm not going to go through the whole report here. There are a lot of things that we touch on here in the course of this work. I think I was asked for successes. Well, you can't measure our work totally based on successes, although we have certainly some nice successes that we could point to, but like the Presque Cemetery. We got a tip that the federal government was thinking about opening up a veteran cemetery in northern Michigan. As soon as they got that tip, we were all over it. And Lenny will talk a little bit about it in his report because he really led that sort of effort here internally with the help of Kelly Stockman, who's here today. Did a great job, identified a site. Lenny found an architect who did a rendering at no cost to the county. Came up with a plan. Lenny went to Lansing. We pitched it with people in Lansing to make sure we got every opportunity to beat Crawford County. Was pre-selected for that site. We wanted to make it difficult for them. And so a lot of lobbying and a lot of work went into that. And ultimately, they decided there was more veterans closer to Crawford County, the location where it's selected, than Presque County. Now, I know they haven't started that cemetery yet. Maybe there's a small chance. But anyway, that was a lot of work. We did an awful lot in a fairly short period of time. And it didn't result in the outcome they were hoping for, which is had it built here, but doesn't change the fact that a lot of effort went into that process. County Airport, I've just been involved with it for a lot of different elements came to arise in my association in this role with the airport, hangar analysis, which I know the county is now moving forward with. That was a long process. It played out a long period of time, but I did financial analysis to demonstrate to the county, you folks weren't here to see it, but to demonstrate to the county what the impact would be of having that hangar there and how it might benefit the county in terms of saving them money. A prospect of a sale of land that the EDC owns out at the airport. And while that process didn't work out because of the height restrictions and the proximity to the AWAS system, again, there's still a lot of work went into getting to the point where it was determined we couldn't do it. There's a company that's coming here to test their drones at PZQ this year. And when I mentioned the company I was involved with at NUASC, company from California is coming out here to test their drone technology between Alpena and Rogers City. They're out here in the fall to meet with Al, kind of talk about what it's going to be like, and they're going to be here for a couple of weeks. Ultimately, they're talking about potentially building, have to build a plant somewhere to actually build these drones. We obviously love for it to be in Presque County. So the fact that they're going to come here and test their product in the summer is wonderful, and it gives us a chance, right? So we want chances and opportunities. And then I'm asked to, anything to me, in my opinion, we have to preserve this airport. We've got one in the county. You'll never get another one if you lose it. So it's really important we keep that airport viable and make it more viable, make it something that's actually more productive for the county, frankly. So anything that we could do to not put that airport at risk, I think is important. And so to that extent, I've written letters to the FAA opposing, let's say, wind towers in the flight path of the airport, because I believe it's the right thing to do. So anyway, a little bit on that, housing initiatives, lots of things we've done with respect to housing. Glenn will touch on that in his report here momentarily. We, Target, applied for a small business grant, small business support grant. We were one of 27 in the state that was awarded. We were awarded almost $2.149 million. All benefit Presque County, not all of it for Presque County, but a big chunk of it. And so we have got, this is something that is not part of the contract, which I've included in here, that we were asked to do, but it was an opportunity that we saw, that we seized. And so to that extent, now we've got small business, we've got Joe here to talk a little bit about that grant, how it's impacting this county. But again, these are things that we're doing that we're not necessarily directed to do, but we know are the right thing to do to fulfill this mission properly. Housing, we know housing is an issue, except Lenny will touch on that. We've had opportunities at the Grand Law Center. I've been involved intimately with those projects, which didn't lead to the outcome we were seeking. Didn't change the fact there's a lot of work to do to get those to the point of analysis. Presque Electric and Gas. So Tom Sobek and I worked when they were ready to move out. We put their property on our website so that, again, draw eyes to it. There's a great opportunity for whatever it was, 19 acres and old buildings there, stuff out there. Kept it on our website. So we had interaction with Tom to support that piece. We had interaction with Tom because he's looking for funding to help with the fiber rollout. And so he had asked us if we could lobby on his behalf. Lenny will maybe touch on that during his portion, but Lenny's role in Target is grant funding and housing. And Lenny's is excellent at both, which is why he's part of our team doing this work. So he'd asked for Lenny's support in that regard. And then also we had DPI close last February. That affected some loggers, including a couple in this county. And so we were looking for opportunities to help one of these loggers, who I'm not going to mention, retool. There are a lot of people affected by this, and they were a big supplier to that plant. Suddenly it was gone. And so found a program that I was able to, we had to work with the utility, got Tom involved, got the USDA involved. We talked about it. Tom pitched it to his board. His board appropriately said, it's a risk we're not comfortable taking, which I understand. I think it was a really poor program, frankly. To make the utility turn them into a bank and loan money at no interest to somebody within your services district to help them. It would be much better if they could have just given it to us at Target, because we do know how to write loans. We have a loan fund. You know, I'm a banker for crying out loud. I was for 18 years. I'd be glad to have taken on that responsibility, but unfortunately, the program only worked for utilities. Those are things like that that we do to vet that didn't result in the outcome we were seeking. But again, these are options that we had to explore and determine if they could help. Touch on the small business branch already. Pete is nice enough to let me write advanced columns periodically. I think I've got 6 or 7 of them in there just to draw eyes and attention to things that we're doing in the county. We have an office here in River City now that Joe works out of. We'll be hearing from him last. I'm sure you guys are probably tired of hearing my voice at this point here. So I guess at that point, I will stop now. I'll open up for questions when we're all done, rather than taking questions now. And I'm going to get Lenny up here and let him just kind of talk a little bit about the things he's worked on broadly and his personal background, and then also how he's helping the county. Okay.
Yeah. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
And public. So I'm not gonna give you my origin story. I'm here, okay? So I was born, God made me, I'm here. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about. In my background, I'm a Pentecostal preacher, so I'm gonna give you a lot of analogies. We are glove. You're a hand. If we're gonna work hand in glove, your hand needs to be in the glove. We have had a lot of opportunities to work within your counties, from your townships to your cities, not really with the county. Okay, a lot of projects. Show of hands. This is not a gotcha question. This is not to make you feel bad if you don't. Do you know what community development block grants are? Raise your hand if you know what that is. One. These are CDBG funds. These are federal dollars that can be flowing into your community to do projects that you want to see. But if you don't have the brain trust to attack these funds, to solicit these funds, you're not going to do it. It's not going to be done. So Target and myself took it upon ourselves to get some of these funds. We created a rehabilitation program that fixed old houses. For example, I'm going to use your treasurer's report. How she's talking about she's going to be foreclosing on a bunch of houses. All right. Can you get a loan on a house that has a hole in the roof?
No.
No. Can you get a loan on a house that's in disrepair? No. So the solutions that people are given are not solutions. It's just more problems. So I asked the county, do you have an emergency repair program? No.
Anymore?
There's no reprieve. We created a program, not because you asked for us, but because we saw that there was a need. I brought in $500,000. Now, when I asked for people to refer, I got the city of Onaway and I got the city of River City that sent me some requests. But that's just small municipalities. You're the umbrella. You should be overseeing all of this and working with us hand and glove. Now, I would ask you this, because in the spirit of full transparency, your money, which is tax money, is paid to us. This report is not proprietary. Put this report up on your website. Show the public what the investment does. Because you're getting it cheap. You're getting 2 master's degree employees that are working for you. Okay? So I'm going to go give you some numbers just from housing. I know you guys read all 70 pages and you're bookmarked it, highlighted it, and you made notes. But we're going to give some things. You guys currently are sitting at a population of 13,183 according to the 2024 census. And that has grown by 1.6%. Wow, you're like, wow, we've grown in population. But there's a caveat to that. Because 68.4% of the household individuals that you have in your county are 55 and older. You're getting more seasoned. I'll say that in a nice way. You're getting very seasoned. Okay? So you're not drawing the bottom of the rungs on the table. You're getting a lot on the table, and that weight's going to sit there and it's going to crush the legs unless you do something to fix it. Next, nearly 36.9% of your rental households in your county are over 30% of cost burden. There's a matrix that says you don't want anybody to spend more than 30% of their net income on housing. You're at 36.9% of your population that are already there. It's too high. they're spending more than 30% of their income. That means less money for food, less money for medical, one accident away from being homeless. If I have to make a decision between paying my taxes and putting food on my table, dang them taxes. The average vacancy in your community is 0%. A healthy vacancy rate is between 4 and 6%. You're at 0. But you're at 0.4. There is no vacancies. So then we look at your home sale numbers. Oh, that's inflated because yes, people are moving in, but people are moving in because they're either retired, they have some additional capital, and they're able to buy those bigger homes at 300,000. The report says that you need to be building homes at 172,000. How many of you can find a home in this community for 172,000 that you would live in? Thank you. I'll wait. So these are the things that we do, and we're looking at this. So we're looking at the numbers, and we give you this report, and we say you need 633 new housing units by the end of 2029. Okay, that's 4 years from now. You need 633 new housing units, 107 additional rental units, attacking the 50% of area median household income. That's housing at $1,000 a month or less. Okay, we're not talking about Section 8 housing. These are work people that works at the coffee shop, people that like your officer. Your officer, I know what he makes. I know what your county pays. I looked it up. He can't afford to live in a $300,000 home. So your for sale market, you need 526 single family homes priced at or below 212,000. That's where you're at just in housing. I haven't even touched an economic workforce. So how do we address these things? Here's the hand. If you're not going to be able to sit with us daily, monthly, weekly, to talk about initiatives, get an administrator. 2, CDBG funds are plentiful. Put a subcommittee and start targeting projects. Create a corridor improvement plan. Create a corridor improvement council. Create an emergency housing program. We will be willing to run it for you. You can easily apply to get $200,000 from the state with $0 matching. You can really go up to $400,000, but I'll just give you the lowest fruit. $200,000 with no matching dollars to create an emergency housing program that's for building repair. That's the lowest hanging fruit. Hand in glove. We're not your silver bullet. You can't just write a check and say, we're going to fix everything, because that would be erroneous and not accurate. We're consultants working with you to say, we have expertise in this. We suggest that you do this. If you don't take these suggestions, it's not on us. I didn't run that by Mike. He probably gonna be mad at me later. But this is honesty. Somebody said this is a room of truth, right? So can we be truthful right now? I think what we're asking for is pennies on the dollar of what we've already brought in. My program alone for just that one paid for your investment. Okay? So next thing I want to talk about is what we're looking to do in the future. I want your treasurer. I want to get a land bank. I want to work with your land bank. I want to target some of these projects. I want to get blight out of your community. I want to see better armed public services. I want to see projects that are water and sewer to upgrade those things. But I'm helping those who, like my mom said, God bless the child that helps himself. If someone in my community who's also contracted with us knocks on my door and says, hey, I want your time, and you don't ask me for that, I'm going to go with the person who asked me for their time. Our time is available to you, not by quarterly reports. All of you should have my email. If not, we're going to remedy it right now. I'm going to give you my card.
Oh, yeah. Manny, please.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
And in that report also has our contact information.
Mhm.
And like I said, none of this stuff is proprietary. You can share it. We would be happy to share it and talk with anybody because we're in the business of helping our community. We live here. There's an old adage that a rising tide lifts all ships. Okay, so I can beat you over the head some more, but I think I know, in church, seminary, school, they teach you when, the head can only hear what the butt can stand. And I think you guys have been sitting there a while, we've been punching you up. And so my report alone was 49 pages. So that's the bulk of this. You need the assistance. We know that you have some economic struggles ahead and we can't do it alone. We're a nice fancy pair of gloves that need a hand. Public-private partnerships. Okay, thanks guys. Joe, you're up.
Yeah, you get to follow that, Joe.
I didn't have a 70-page report. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Carr. I'm the Small Business Development Director at Target Alpena. Prior to joining Target at this role, I had opened several of my own small businesses. And generally, that means I can tell you a few things of what you should do in business, but I can probably talk for hours about what you shouldn't do. I've made all those mistakes. And that's really why I'm in this role, because my mission is to make sure people don't fall in the same pitfalls or face the same challenges that I had to sort out. After some of my entrepreneurial experiences, I spent about a decade in economic development doing exactly this work right here. So I also grew up in this community. I grew up in Malky Township, graduated from Rogers City, and I was very eager to return when I saw the opportunity. So as Mike had mentioned, in mid-2023, Target saw the opportunity for the Small Business Support Hub from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and he applied. There were 80 applicants, 27 were selected, and that's including us. Of that 27, we were one of 3 of the hubs that received the full funding request. Everyone else had to take a smaller amount. So we received $2.1 million. That includes $400,000 that we're giving out in direct grants to companies. And this allows us to cover a 5-county region from Sheboygan down to Iosco. In Presque County, currently we have 3 staff operating. Myself, our program manager, Ann Sangster, and then Tim Rogwelski from the Small Business Development Center. So over the past year, we've conducted extensive outreach in the county, visiting cities, townships, and speaking with business owners. And in this process, we've discovered 2 major hurdles that nearly all of them are facing. The first one is lack of access to capital. This can take many forms. They may not be bankable. They may not be able to get loans from friends and family. They might be having low sales. And then the other one's another one that's nearly universal. There's a big difficulty in finding quality employees. So taking that information, we assembled a variety of programs to help companies address those challenges and drive key outcomes. We wanted to make sure businesses were able to connect with each other and to mentors to help them on their growth path. We wanted to help improve bankability and then drive revenue growth. So to do that, we have 2 funding opportunities: our direct grant program, which allows established small businesses to purchase equipment, inventory, or other similar uses. And then we established a Huron Forward Fund, which can help pay for essential professional services for newer companies to help build their foundations. And this can include marketing, legal, website development, and other similar services. And then beyond the funding opportunities, we have 3 other programs. We have the Bold Growth Innovation Lab. This helps small business owners better understand how their customers interact with them and hopefully increase their revenue. We've got 10 companies that are receiving 12 months of support this year, and then we'll be doing that program again later this year. So we'll have 20 companies served under that. We have All Hands Mentorship Program. This connects owners with mentors who are willing to share their professional and personal wisdom and experience to help guide the owners through the various challenges they're facing. And then we've also conducted succession planning workshops with Exit Factor. Twice a year, we're hosting workshops to help small business owners who are considering retiring or selling their business to better understand what that process entails. And this helps set the business owner, the new owner, and our community up for continued success. The worst thing that can happen is someone puts a for sale sign out front, they never sell. 80% of those companies never sell. And then they just close out and we lose those jobs, we lose that revenue. Beyond the programming, beyond the funding, our staff is also available for one-on-one strategic meetings, and we also provide capital support services, helping get companies bankable, grant writing for external opportunities, things like that. Now, the results of our efforts. In Presque County in 2024, of all the companies that we interacted with, 28 of them have gone through our intake process. So that means they get a custom work plan. We help establish a baseline and track their growth from then on. We've helped 4 new companies form that wouldn't otherwise exist. We're in the process of giving out $20,000 in direct grants. We have another $30,000 planned for 2025. We've also helped apply for $120,000 in external grant opportunities. This can be corporate giving, this can be state level grants, things like that. So we take that as an active effort. We try to help identify those. We keep an ear to the ground so that we can bring those opportunities to our clients within the community. This is often a little bit of the sugar with the medicine when it comes to business plan writing. That's a process nobody really likes. But if there's the opportunity potentially to secure a $10,000 grant at the end of it, there's a lot better motivation to do it. And whatever we help the clients create, we maintain a record of. So if they have a future opportunity, they can draw on those assets, that grant application, and use that material again and again. Our teammate at the SBDC on his own has completed, had 8 clients complete his intake process and has had 70 consulting interactions. And then on page 23 of our report, you can see a highlight of the participation of events within the county. And this includes career expos, workshops that we have hosted or participated in, business after hours, and various others. So in conclusion, we're optimistic about the business outlook within the county, but we recognize the work ahead of us, and we're eager to continue to work with small business owners here. Thank you.
All right, now you're done with me, not quite. Just a couple things to finish up here. So thanks for that. I know that was way more long-winded than you were wanting, but I will be brief now. So a couple things here. The housing study Lenny cited, dropping statistics on, that was paid for by us for a grant we got on your behalf. Okay, that was covered by us. That's probably $12,000 you have to pay that we need to attract developers into this county to do this work, because we can show them there's a need that's been determined by an outside entity, and so we intend on doing that. 2, the marketing stuff that was done within the EDC to help promote this county, all those funds, none of it came out of the county. Target actually put $14,000 into the EDC, which we weren't obligated to do, to allow us to do those things. So that was money. It never came out of the county. It came out of Target's funds, sharing them with the county. 2023, up until 2023, we're always 1 employee for 30 years, which is 1. Lenny joined me in 2023 because I think we saw an opportunity on the housing on the grant side, and Lenny does a great job of what he does. And we needed him on our team to do this work to better represent this area. And then Joe. So now we're up to 6 people. And I will say that back in 2013, the first year that you entered into an agreement with Target, the base price or cost was $25,000 for this work. It never changed. In 2022, I came to the county, or 2023, I guess, 2023, right before we brought Lenny on, I came to the county and said, I want to bring on a really talented individual. I'm asking you to give me $10,000 so I can bring a second person in the organization. So that's how we arrived at the $35,000, which is where we stand today. Didn't ask me for any more money to support Joe's body of work. So just want you to understand that we've not ratcheted it up. You got a pretty unique set of skills among the 3 of us that I think better represents the county well. Obviously, you have to decide what makes most sense for you, right? Do this or hire somebody and work on it yourself. And I guess you all deliberate what you think makes the most sense. But anyway, so you have questions of me, anything in the report that you read?
I have one I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
After attending the CDC, EDC meeting and then reading the reports, and really impressed. As you're aware, I was a past executive director of the Economic Development Corporation for Presque County. They do more here now than I could have ever accomplished on my own. And the question part is, has your office and or your board looked at possibly developing a regional approach to this versus a Target, Alpena, and Presque County approach to this? Because the reason I ask is, you look at the housing, you look at available staff, personnel availability, affordability. I think Montmorency, Alpena, Sheboygan, and Presque counties all face a lot of the same issues. And maybe with a regional approach might open doors to other funds to access, and maybe put additional staff on and better represent and have a bigger voice when it comes time to speak on a state and national level.
So the short answer is yes. We've talked about that. I've got several board members here. Scott Paul is a board member of the Target Board. He's also on the EDC board with me, Lenny. So we do recognize that there is potentially an opportunity here. So many of these counties, like for instance, you had, your first question was, if you thought about like more regionally. We've had like Alcona County came to me 3 or 4 years ago and said, we want what you guys do for Presque. Why don't you do it for us? We're willing to pay whatever you think is reasonable, mirror what you do at Presque. I said, no. They have nobody doing that work. I said, I'm already spread thinner than I should be. If I were to take on your money, then the quality of what I do for Alpena and Presque is going to diminish. That's not really fair. And so we don't have the bandwidth, I don't have the personal bandwidth to do it. So the answer was at that point, no. We bring Lenny in on the housing side, and we didn't talk about any of this, but Lenny represents Region E, which is 11 counties. Is the Region E lead for the Housing Initiative, formed up a program. Lenny's representing 11 counties here. And several of those counties have come to Lenny that he's working with through this process and said, we want Target to represent us too. Same situation. It's like, we know there's a lot of people out there who want to pay us to help them. And the reality is we have to be able to do it right. We have to be able to do it economically. We have to make an impact. And so I know for me and for Lenny and for all of us, it's not a money grab. We have to have a good plan to do it right. How many people do you need? How are you going to pay for it? How are they going to pay for it? Like I said, Montmorency County has nobody doing this work. They'd love to have us help them. They don't, they're not in the same. Matter of fact, Presque County is fortunate. I live in Alpena County. As a county, we're broke. As a county, we're broke. So I'm fortunate that I'm working with a county here that actually has the funding to allow for economic development. Alpena County benefits because we're in Alpena. City of Alpena does a lot to support our work. And so the county gets a benefit from that without having to pay for it. And so anyway, these are issues that we're wrestling with, right? Where do we fit in this without, there are organizations that do economic development work, like NLEA supports Sheboygan County. They support 4 counties. We're 2 counties right now, but clearly there's an opportunity out there for us to serve a lot more. Again, but what's our mission? And so those are things that we're talking at a board level in Alpena and Target and figuring out kind of what that might look like. But we are evaluating all these things right now. They're all kind of in play at the present time, Joe.
Well, I recognize it take more people, first and foremost, more funding. And it's just a thought process that I had in my head and my experience that you'll get through a door quicker if you represent more.
Well, so just one last point. This is kind of the epiphany for me back in 2022, which I didn't touch on this. I did briefly mention here, but in 2022, there's an opportunity through a program through the state of Michigan for a grant. And I thought of a project that it was in Alpena that made good sense for us to pursue. $5 million. This was free money, $5 million. And so when a state's got a pool of 50 million bucks and you're asking for 1/10 of it, you've got to do one hell of a job selling on why your project should be selected among all the great ones they're going to see across the entire state of Michigan. And so I decided I'm going to set everything aside and I'm going to pursue this grant. I'm going to put all the time and energy into it to make it really hard for them to say no. And so guess what? 6 months later, they said yes. And we got a $5 million grant, which is the biggest grant north of 55. Traverse City got $1 million, go figure. And then 3.9 went to Marquette. Alpena got 5. For me, that was a moment because again, I set everything aside to do that. Because if you're going to make a compelling case, you've got to do it right. I did it right and got it. And that was for me was a moment thinking, I told my board, we need to bring in somebody with Lenny's skill set who could just focus on that because there's so much money out there that's not coming to this part of the state and it needs to. And we need someone to focus on it. I don't have time to focus on writing grants like that. I can do it. I proved it can be done, but the reality is you got to have someone with the skill set and the time dedicated. So we went out and found Lenny, who's got a great body of past history to demonstrate his ability to bring money to an area. And so So that's why he's on Team Target. So to your point, it's part of our evolution as an organization to better serve the area, Alpena Presque for now, and where it might fit in the more broad picture. So, any more questions? I know you guys.
Along that line, I just thought, being that we were serving Sheboygan County businesses, that reach out to Sheboygan County with Moran there, Sturgill's, so.
Yeah, I've talked to those, I've talked to Tom, talked to Mike Sturgill, even though there's Sheboygan County, that's NLEA territory. So we try to like not necessarily want to step on their toes, right? Because they cover them and there's, and again, none of us have all of the people, I shouldn't say all, many of the organizations in our space who do this work have different funding models. None of them are the same. Our funds come from memberships in our chamber, or it's some direct funding from the county, in this particular case, the county. You know, if you talk to my equivalent over at Siga County, they're all county funded. That's it. You go to NLEA, they're funded by 4 counties. So they divvy up their time and attention among the 4 counties who pay based on population. So there are, you know, I have no problem picking up the phone and reaching out to Mike or to Tom Moran if I have an issue that I think would benefit them to be part of the conversation. And those guys would take my call. So that's part of the, you know, that's again, you know, that's what I think, you know, that's why I think it was good for me to end up in the shop because I had those contacts in my previous life for 18 years, right? As CEO of a bank. So anyway, more questions or?
Yeah, Mike, first of all, you, Lenny, and Joel did an excellent job.
Thank you.
We're intrigued. I'm a very rookie on this commission. And you got $5 million grant for Alpena.
I did.
Now, what do you do with that 5 million now that you've got it?
No, that was for a project. It was specifically for a project.
One project.
One project. So it's free money to the developers. They get
Okay.
$5 million
Okay, that's
because we
wonderful.
asked for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Are you a Chicago Cubs fan?
I am.
That's how I know you.
I'm a big Chicago, from Chicago. I didn't say that in here, but yeah, I'm from Chicago. Yes.
I just put it together. Okay.
Okay.
This figure 35,000, I hear, is that what you guys charge the county per year?
That's what we charge the county per year.
Okay, thank
Well, I would, you know, and our contract does, and I put a copy of the contract in here for you to see. The contract does run from July 1 to June 30. And so typically you'd pay us in the first half of the year, or the second half of the year. I know you held up payment last meeting, which you typically would have paid it until I showed up today to talk about what we do. And so, so you typically, we would sit down and probably May and decide, you have to decide, do we want to continue this relationship with Target? And then does Target want to continue relationship with us? I mean, that's also the question, right? It's a two-way street here. And then what's the appropriate amount of money? I mean, is it going to be 35,000 again? What's the scope of services look like? There's a lot of things we do that aren't in that scope of services. Going out, getting the grant to pay for the housing study is not in our scope of services. Getting Joe to do this work is not in the scope of services. Addressing the situation with the commission and the EDC, working through that was not part of the scope of services. We did it because it needed to be done. There's a recognition that there were some things that we needed to figure out. And so we undertook them and so.
And it basically equates to $16.82 for a full-time employee. That's your coffee for each step. That's your share of tax. That's what your investment or an employee that you don't have to pay for. No health and benefits. You're getting a team of services with the equivalence of $16.82.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you all see the benefit of what we do, and I apologize again. Normally I'm up here for 10 minutes, do this twice, you get 8-page report from me, you don't get 70 pages.
I have to apologize, but
But it's long-winded, I know, but again, I think it's part of so many new people here.
you guys reached out to loggers on a project too. Are any of your grants ag-based, or is that a whole different area?
So I sent so the cannabis, I sent just to Scott just this week, an MDR grant came on my radar, and I reached out to Scott and said, hey, this might be something for you here. But that in and of itself, the whole grant thing, that's a very specialized, I mean, someone just to do research on grants, you know, that's a big job, right? So, you know, I've worked with Hinchka Logging in Presque County, worked with Mike on some other things. You know, and we get calls all the time. I do all the time about, I want to do this. Are there grants out there for me? It's like, well, it really depends on a whole number of things, right? A whole number of things. But there's this misnomer out there that there's a lot of free money, and there is free money out there. There is free money out there, but it's, but not every project is gonna be able to find the grant. Most projects will not find associated grants to help those projects along. But if they're housing based, if they maybe add some jobs, we got a phone call, Lenny and I got a phone call from a really large employer in this county, that's all I'll say, who's planning on spending tens of millions of dollars in the next couple of years. And they said, hey, can you help us with maybe some grant funding? So we said, yeah, we'll work with you. We'll see what's out there. No promises, but we'll help you evaluate and see what's out there. So that's the role we take, right? I mean, that's what's important for all you guys to know that. So when you do get someone who grabs you at a ball game and says, hey, I'm doing this, do you know of anybody? Then you say, reach out to Mike or reach out to Lenny. Start with me. I'll get it to Lenny. I'll get it to Joe, whatever the case is. But that's why it's important that I think we're doing this today, just to educate you about these are the kind of things we can bring to bear here for you. And we'll.
I'd like to make a point about grants. There's a perception out there by a lot of people that grants are not free money, that grants are directly affect our taxes. This is money that's going to be distributed and is earmarked already.
Yep.
And in some instances comes from foundations, the like. That it's going to get distributed, whether we want to distribute it here or not, depends on our effort.
A closed mouth doesn't get fed. That's my mom used to say.
All right, so you saw the precision logging. It was misrepresented in the story as Presque County. That's really Sheboygan County. That was a $12 million project. They got $130,000 grant, and Michigan and the governor and the lieutenant governor were talking about how happy they are, and I'm sure they're happy that there's 18 jobs being created. But I'm just thinking $130,000 on a $12 million project probably didn't move the needle enough to make the project viable because it wasn't before, right?
$12
But-
million project.
Exactly right. 12 million, 130,000 is not a whole ton of money to bring.
1%.
One, but right, 1%. But I guess it's better than nothing. And I'm glad that we've got somebody just down 68, expanding and adding a few jobs.
And their employees live in our county.
Right, they probably live in Presque, kind of agree with that. So again, I know I'm talking a lot here. Anything else? Rich, you done at the meeting?
No.
No, you all good?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
this. Promise next time won't be this long-winded.
Very thorough report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lenny, Joe, thanks. Then next up is the
I'll see you at Critical Subject.
I think it's actually next up.
It's an unfinished business. We got to get on that.
Gotcha.
Judge Gilder.
I love it though. All right, so thank you for having me and
Oh, yeah.
adding me to your agenda. I'm Chief Judge of Probate Court here for our county, Kim Gilmer. And I want to say, first of all, congratulations to everyone in your new roles.
And you too.
I wasn't here for your first meeting. I was at new judge school. They sent us away. And so I did want to come and show my face and let you know I am appreciative of your work for our county. So here I am today talking about another grant. The State Court Administrative Office, it has submitted requests for proposals for grants for their new diversion push. So for the low risk juvenile residents of our community, if they are a status offense. So status offense, there's three types. There's truancy, there's incorrigibility, which means I'm not listening to my parents or something like that. And then there's runaway. So they're the lowest risk of juveniles that we have, but they still are at risk for being put into the court system. And so our state has a Michigan Task Force on Juvenile Justice Reform, and they're asking for counties to submit proposals for programs or services targeted to these three types of juveniles, which could helpfully prevent them from ever entering into the court system. And so the grant starts in April of 2025 and it goes through September 2026. It's for $100,000. I had our probation staff reach out to the three school districts, Onaway, Posen, Rogers City, and find out, first of all, do we have a need? Do we have these students who are low risk but still need some extra help? All three had a common theme. We have students who are struggling with homework, struggling to turn their work in, and just need overall support in the low risk category. And so our idea is to develop a new program called pathways to potential. And it would be to employ two or more tutors and mentors, so that they would have a combination job, tutoring and providing mentorship for juveniles. And the court would get referrals from community partners, could get referrals from the prosecutor's office, could get referrals from the schools themselves, or from school resource officers who felt the student is falling through the cracks. We need to give them some services. I don't want to see them end up in court. And so that's what this program is designed for. We would apply for it, but I need the funding unit to give that approval for us to seek that application. There's only 5 grants that they're going to give out, so it's going to be competitive. And that's why I had our probation staff go out and do the interview and find the need, what kind of need do we have, and do we have services that we could provide. And I think this mentorship program, one-on-one with the students, would be awesome to offer them extra support. The desired outcomes that we would want to see would be just real simple outcomes, but for a student, they mean a lot. So enhanced confidence, self-awareness, improved skills, personal growth, having just someone else in their corner, another advocate, setting goals, having healthier life choices, improved behaviors, and reducing substance use probably, and just increasing their personal motivation to get through high school or to get through middle school, whatever the case would be. But in order to apply for it, I need to seek approval from the board. So any questions?
You just need approval to apply for the
Yeah.
grant.
So moved.
Questions from the board?
Second.
You make a motion.
I made a motion.
You have it support. Oh, you support it?
Yep.
Yes. We have a motion to support. That, you know, apply for the grant, $1,000.
Mhm.
Lee,
Yes.
Presque,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Crook.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Business. Target out payment. It's personal.
I think we all heard enough. I'll make a
They have
motion.
plenty of that.
Yeah, I think I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursement of the second half of the
I
funds.
think it's for the whole year.
No, it's 17.5, right?
17.5 rates.
Yeah.
2 payments.
For $17,500
That would support-
through June 30.
I'll support that motion.
Roll.
Presque,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Crook.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes. Motion carried.
The only comment I'd have after that is,
Can't hear you.
the only comment I would have after that is please let me know when the next target board meeting is and I will plan on attending.
Yeah.
With your permission.
7:30 more.
That's all right. You got breakfast? Scott, pick me up.
Thanks for explaining it to the new board members too. Moving on,
CDC appointment.
EDC appointment.
Yes. That's a correction.
Who's going to be appointed?
Not really, I think it's a new appointment, Brian
Brad,
Hall, H-A-L-L.
Brad Hall.
He's my neighbor.
You aware of there's an application for appointment to the CDC board, EDC board, excuse me,
Yes.
Brian Hall?
Yeah, so Eddie Stone was a longtime board member, Kevin Cox died. He left the board, he's traveling too much, and so Brian agreed, and now Emily's retired from Cadillac Products, is to serve in Eddie's place.
I know,
Is he
Brian.
here now?
Pardon me?
He's not
Is he
here.
He's not here today.
No, I know him.
I do too.
Good appointment.
He lives across the street and over a couple
Is there a
from me,
motion
and
to
he was our
appoint him?
board
You
president.
want to make a motion to appoint him?
I make a motion to appoint Brian Hall.
I'll second.
Motion, support. Right, all the EDC.
I think it's BRY.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? New business. Sheboygan Humane Society. Animal shelter agreement, did everybody get a chance to review that?
Yes, I do have a question.
I talked to Joe there, he gave me a report on how many dogs they all out there, it was like 27 in the last year. I see Alpena has their own. But they weren't interested in talking.
I have one question about this. I'm aware that the city of Rogers City, when Rogers City Police Force picks up a dog, they drop it at the county and the county then takes care of it and pays for that fund.
I'm sorry, Joe.
I didn't speak up. I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
No, I'm old.
I was told that when the city police of Rogers City pick up an animal, they
Yeah.
drop it at the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Then it becomes financially the responsibility of the county.
Right, we take the dog, we'll house them for a while, see if we can find an owner on our Facebook, and then we transport them up Sheboygan.
Is that something that's reimbursed by the city?
Likewise for Annalee.
Same for animal.
Okay, that was the next question. So,
We pick all, the whole county, we cover the whole county, we pick dogs up.
and this is the same as we paid.
And the same for cats.
Yes.
21,000.
Yep.
Is that statutory?
I'm a cat person.
Basically.
Yes, yeah, same for domestic animals, cats, dogs, pets like that.
That's all.
It's the only person-
The only one we got.
it's the only one I can see. You gotta go do something. I think.
I'll make a motion, we approve animal shelter agreement as presented.
21,000 for the year.
21,000 for the year.
Support.
Anticipated.
County shall pay annual fee of $21,000.
I have a question. Is this something previous boards have done regularly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Second.
Yeah, motion.
Robin. I think
Oh,
Robin
gee.
seconded.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Didn't hear it.
Okay, I have
To
a
enter into the animal shelter.
stupid
agreement.
question. Does anybody remember
We have a question.
when we used to have our own
Discussion.
humane society here out on Old Dumps Road years and years ago? Whatever happened to that?
It
And
got
who,
folded
and
because
who
of funding.
supported it?
I have no idea.
No, I don't know who supported it, but again, became obsolete and too expensive to operate.
Yeah, I remember something about that. That was just me wondering.
We were kids,
We were.
which was a long time.
Yeah, it was.
That's the only discussion we have. on it.
I just had a question.
Roll call vote, please.
Hughes,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Yes.
Laney,
Yes.
Presque.
Yes.
Motion carried. Extension of vacation time in the clerk's office. I talked to the clerk. An extension to use their vacation time was only given a 30-day window. And it's posing a stress on the clerk's office because people are trying to use up their hours in 30 days.
And they had one that's been out.
And the one that's been out for a week now. Weston to extend it 60 or 90 days,
60 more, through the end of March,
60 more days
through the end of March.
through the end of March.
Questions? Unused vacation time typically rolls over at the first of the year. Correct, Bill?
No,
Fiscal year.
Yeah, it goes away. It doesn't roll over unless extended.
Lose it.
So it's gotta be done by June 30th, used by then, and that's the end of the fiscal year.
No, it's not fiscal years annual. It's calendar year.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
So
which makes it difficult in my opinion, because it makes more sense, just in my mind, when you guys have been here, working here longer than I have,
This is,
that it rolls over on your anniversary date, because then you don't have everybody trying to spend their vacation time at the end of December.
Yeah, but that's not how it was set up, and to change it.
Would be a mess.
Yeah.
this is just a special circumstance.
And this is a special circumstance,
They were,
extenuating
they were gonna
circumstance.
lose that time in the previous board approved and use it, but they attached, for some reason, the clerk attached 30 days.
Right.
to it. So
I have no problem
we're
extending
looking
it
for
to the end of
extended
March, if that doesn't set a
60
terrible
days
precedent,
help
but this
out.
is extenuating circumstances.
No, I think they should.
Well, we don't have a motion or support.
I'll make that motion.
Support. Have a Motion support to extend it 60 more days.
With no further extension.
Is there any? It's just a one-time. deal. Is there any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 4 that was a little bit blurry. Resolutions to borrow. Resolutions to borrow and resolution agency. Delinquent taxes.
You want an explanation of that?
Yeah, is it
Okay.
the same one last year?
Yeah, it's the normal, resolutions. They come from, council from Dickinson Wright. To explain it, it's the 2024 taxes go delinquent on March 1st. The local entities need to be paid out to be made whole. And then the county, so the county, gets self bonds, and we normally use here on State Bank. So we borrow an amount of money, we pay off all the local units for the entire amount of the 2024 taxes. And the county has the delinquent taxes to collect, we collect the taxes and we pay off the bond. So that's the rotation, because local units collect only current taxes. And then they go delinquent as of March 1st, and they roll to us. We pay out everybody the current taxes, we collect the delinquent, and it's just a revolving loan.
It's been done this way for forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, typically this is done every year by the board.
yes, it's done every year. It's just a resolution that has to be, you have to approve it, and it's a resolution of agency. We have to put in there our best guess of the maximum amount we're gonna borrow. We have in there 1.9 million. That doesn't mean we're gonna borrow 1.9 million, but it's kind of a guess as to,
Has that been pretty steady, that number, over the last few
well,
years?
we seem to be a little slower this year collecting. So,
Two
it
million.
was,
2 million.
oh, did I put two? Okay. Because last year we borrowed 1.7. So,
Your approximate guess is 2 million,
yes,
if you have 1.9 million
to borrow.
to borrow. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
Do we need two motions, because we have two resolutions, resolution of agency and resolution of borrow? Two motions, I believe.
They stapled together.
No, there's two.
Yeah, they'll be separate motions.
Yes,
They're separate resolutions. We're discussing the resolution to borrow against anticipated delinquent taxes. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Support. Yeah, motion support to adopt the resolution to borrow against anticipated taxes. Taxes. Resolution.
Libby,
yes.
Crook,
Yes.
Delaney,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Resolution of agency pursuant to section 87 C of Act 206.
This basically sets up the administration of such. And I move that we adopt this resolution. We have a resolution number.
Right, so about
Okay,
sheet.
that's fine.
Sorry.
We'll number them later. But I'll make a motion, we approve resolution of agency pursuant to section 87C of Act 206.
Support.
Support. Agency. Adopt that resolution.
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Presque,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Lindsey.
Yes.
Resolution's passed. Or-
I still need to email that from you. 'Cause I sent you an email, that you have to send a statement allowing me to sign.
Sorry, all right.
Mhm.
I can go if you'd like. Building and Grounds Committee met, got the Sheriff's Department report. I won't read that in its entirety. You are familiar with some of the issues that they face. They do have, in their plan to, improve their entrance door, which is original and security system, the entrance to the Sheriff's Department. I have, an estimate, actually, it's two estimates, one for the, work itself and one for the security system. I'm gonna, with your approval, I'm gonna pass these on to the finance committee. And the total comes to 37,000 and change. And that will come before this board again if finance elects to. That includes replacing the windows, insulating the building, a new door, and security. Am I missing anything, Joe? Yep.
Camera.
Remember that too.
And a camera, yeah, run that through finance, please. Akiak Outdoor Center, was in full force at the Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Bisky and I attended. Update on the budget, for the, improvements and project, was presented. And the only action we needed to take was actually two-part action we needed to take. One was to, write a letter seeking, qualifications for an architect. And that letter's been drafted by the clerk's office with my name on it, and it will go out as soon as our clerk comes back from the sick time. And there's no expenditure as part of that, it's just a letter of qualifications. The second part was to set up an account, a separate account. It's not a separate checking account, it's just an account within the finance department that the Akiak Outdoor Center contributions, the funds from the county that had been budgeted for this project, and other donations could go to and be earmarked. I'm at,
Through the pocket of those.
yes, as project money, which is a dock and parking improvements project. I don't have a number on it, but with this board's approval, could we direct the treasurer to do that? Is a request I have. Is that something that requires the board for the motion? Nope, we're good. And to let you all know, their grant was awarded, which covers everything but about 10% of the cost. And taking a look at it, the funding should be available midsummer. So once you get the award, usually there's a 30 to 90-day wait. In this instance, it's more like 120-day wait before the funding's available. This is a spend and get reimbursed kind of grant. So if the dock is bought, we turn in the receipt through the typical forms, and then you wait 30 days and the money should come. So also in Building and Grounds, HVAC system was talked about at length. I have a bill from the engineering firm that I've turned into finance. Architect, I think it's on the next round for finance. So that was turned in as $20,000 and change. I have copies of the prints here that Mr. Crook and I are going to go over because he has expertise in this. Although he's not on the committee, I've asked for his assistance. And in lieu of that, is it reasonable now to discuss that I would like, and it's no offense to anybody here, but he has all kinds of background in building projects, HVAC systems that are second on the Building and Grounds Committee be replaced by Mr. Crook, if no one has an objection to that. That would come from the chair if we elect to do that. Time for another discussion later.
Yeah. I think it got. Robin on it.
For Building and Grounds Committee.
We'll have to go through building and grounds, but we're gonna have another get together, workshop, go. It's like the previous board did.
Right.
Yeah,
Did you get a copy of that for everyone?
There's more in the clerk's, the maintenance. office.
Everybody needs to have a copy of the.
Yeah.
Proposal.
This is not a proposal so much as it is
No, it's.
drawings and engineering estimates.
It's a plan.
It's a plan. And I think
In
it
fact,
needs
what-
to be looked at.
in fact, what we should do is. Have the workshop, have the architect come back and re-explain everything. Some big questions.
Yeah, there are some big questions.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
The architect.
I'm happy to do
Because
that.
I'm the only one there that said that.
I'm happy to contact him because I'm chair of the Building and Grounds Committee. Yeah, okay. And 40 Mile Point Lighthouse gave us their improvements, project hopes and wish list. More to be updated later. I'm attending the next. Personnel Committee met briefly with representatives of the patrolman's contract and had a short discussion, getting up to speed. I'm waiting to hear back from the attorney to talk about what their perception of the open items are. And then a meeting will be immediately following. We got their thoughts and we gave them our thoughts just a little. We didn't have a whole lot of thoughts.
Well, we
We're new.
couldn't really say much.
Yeah, but long story short, it went well.
Listen,
We listened. That's all.
Yeah,
we did.
there's some information probably.
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically all I have, sir.
streets regional, right?
Yeah, that's special.
Not much.
Next,
Okay.
next.
Okay, so I went to, that a week or so ago, the day it snowed like crazy. I had to be at Sheboygan for Straits Regional Ride. It was a quarterly meeting. And they had been getting 100% funding from COVID, but that's over. So I alerted Darren that they'll be we'll start receiving some billing from them. Not really any new news with them, other than they are expecting Pierre Marquette train, Amtrak. They're trying to open up a route from Mackinac City to Lansing, which would go to campus of Michigan State endpoint. So anybody that wants to take the train to Lansing, looks like it's going to be available pretty soon. And they're working, I believe, on possibly getting the train from Alpena to Saginaw and points along the way. So
More discussion on the facility.
No.
That was on. The administrator was there. She wasn't administrator.
what's his name? No,
He probably wasn't there. Some, debate. That
there's only
board
5 people there.
Did director talk about raising the contributions? Well, it's from the counties. I don't know.
No, just that they were gonna start billing. So, yeah, our portion,
Maybe we can kind of cut back. But it's-
yeah, that's done.
All right, is there any questions?
Yeah, we had a short discussion right before our committee meeting the other day. Mr. Crook and I did that. Is that widely utilized by the residents of our county? If so, at what cost?
They go to Onaway every day.
Yeah, that they're, since they're based
They come over here when you're called
Yeah,
by the school or.
I asked them about the possibility of getting some sort of a ride down from Grand Lake to here or points west, and doesn't look good because it's just such a long day for their drivers.
Kelly's here. Mind if I ask Kelly? We didn't see you back there. Do you see a lot of use of Straits Area Regional Ride around the Onaway area, or do you see mostly the senior citizen buses?
No, I see a lot of the Straits area too.
Okay.
They cut that, I think they drop people off at the library and they'll use, yeah, the doctor's appointment, Sheboygan.
Okay, thank you.
Our share on that is the lowest. Sheboygan and that pays the most.
Right. Just
They have the
curious.
most use.
They're very reasonable ride for this low. It's like $2.
You can take your bicycle.
That's good. I'm just not aware. Just getting an education. Thank you.
I got the health board meeting. Before. That, to give you a quick overview. Total assets, $1.939 million. Total liabilities, $1 million. Total revenues, $827,885. Total expenditures, $892,120. Net operations was a negative $64,235. And that only really occurred because the state pulled a bunch of pullbacks on the funding. The fund reserves, we're still at $942,306. IRS standard mileage rate increased to 70 cents. Payroll software has been updated to reflect the change. With the MERS unfunded pension plan is at $10 million unfunded, and we're still putting in $118,000 a month to get caught up. Ryerson didn't talk about much. Cancer risk mostly. They interviewed one sanitarian. They had one person apply for sanitarian, so it doesn't look really good. I mean, he's not gonna retire now, but in the future, he wants to get some replacements and he needs help because they're coming a lot. That's basically it. When they bought a bunch of gun locks, they handed out. ATM guy. They handed out to people who got locks on their guns in the house for safety. That's it for the report. Anybody else?
I had one comment.
Well, we'll get the commissioners.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did anybody else have any special equipment committee reports?
Commissioners, comment. You have a comment?
Yeah, I guess it goes back to personnel a little bit. There's talk within the equalization, and I don't blame him. David's gonna retire in the near future, which I think he's sorely deserves. And there's no transition plan in place. So I, in a short discussion with him, he wrote up his job responsibilities, qualifications for his replacement, and it doesn't look like he has anybody in the office that would be interested in replacing him. So I think we need to start the process now and assign the personnel committee to advertise and look for his replacement in an appropriate manner. And then ask if David would assist in the interview process should we have qualified applicants. Yeah, so we don't end up.
When Sharon retired, he was at already up there.
He got his extra endorsement qualification, I don't, level 4, I think is what it needs to be. Level 3, and we only have 2 at level 2, and they're not interested in moving up to that spot.
It is technically not called that anymore. They named it something else, but
Right, so with the board's permission, I think our personnel is going to meet with David one more time, work up a job description, get it advertised.
I think that's a good idea.
Whenever we get somebody hired and spend enough time, like yesterday. He's been very patient.
We jumped ahead of the comments here. We have one more report, sorry. We had a planning commission meeting. Before the budget comes up here in June, the planning commission budget's been drawn, being pulled out of building and zoning. And the board here really needs to develop a line item budget for the planning commission. So they have their own money and their own budget to work with. So it's something to keep in mind before budget time. Short-term rentals came up. The problem they had with the short-term rentals, people from out of town, out of state, renting out their houses daily. And the problem they're having, the neighbors are having. They were talking about they were requesting the county to write an ordinance or amending the ordinance. The suggestion I gave to the planning commission was it's a permitted use. Why not? It's not a permitted use in that. Why not make it a permitted use by special use permit? That way you can kind of control it that way instead of writing the whole other ordinance.
Did you hear that, Mike?
There's a draft ordinance that was not approved by the Board of Commissioners. You should probably look into that one.
There is a draft ordinance. I thought there was at one time.
For the county.
Yeah. For the county? Yeah.
But we'll look into that, but I think it'd be a lot easier to handle, right? Special use, that way you can kind of control, they'd have to ask the special use. Stuff to it.
Right.
The only other thing we have is, being they don't have a budget, they want to apply for a grant that's out there, $50,000 grant for reworking the ordinance. And they need permission to do it, or our team to do it here for them. Yeah, I don't know if Anne Marie was doing that for them, or if they were writing their own grant. Applying for it. But the ZA wanted to move forward with it.
I gave you one of these. They do have small.
Yeah, but it's not enough.
Most of the meetings.
$1,000. We can address that at budget time, but meanwhile, they want to apply for that
I have no problem with them applying for it.
$50,000. Their motion, their law. The ZA.
So moved.
Support.
This is for what? The,
Planning commission.
Planning commission. Discussion.
to apply for a grant.
Yeah, discussion is we need the clerk to help them with that. We need to go through our audits.
And how much was the grant? 50,000?
50,000.
Up to.
Discussion.
Lynn,
Yes.
Presque,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Right there. Is there any other commissioner comments this time? Any other government officials?
no,
Treasurer?
No.
Sheriff? Sarah?
Jonas.
Hang on.
Slow. One of my COs, Shay, he's going to 4-week training starting Monday for the COs, corrections, it's mandatory. So it'll be at Kirkland for the next 4 weeks, getting the corrections officer training. We have 10 in the jail right now. Our new cook, we hired a new cook, be starting next week for the head cook. And then after that incident we had talked about on a couple weeks ago, I'll be doing a huge blanket thank you once again with MSP, but all the responding agencies that did show up. So everybody did announcement. I think Pete did a good story in the paper. The issue with that, so everybody knows transparency is, it's kind of collaborative between us and the state. So once MSP takes over something, I can't say a lot because part of the investigation is theirs. And they're a little slower on getting press releases out and information, but I had to get something out originally, just let the people know kind of what happened. That's my responsibility. So that's why there's no names, no other stuff. But once I get their PR person, we'll do a blanket of all the responding agencies, everybody that helped out that night, everybody that volunteered, 'cause it was amazing. It was amazing what showed up that night to help us in that incident, which we didn't get done till almost 2 in the morning, and it started at 3 in the afternoon. And it was cold, and it was windy, and everybody knows Occoquan Road, in that Plains area, it really whips across that field. So just want you guys to know in the community here, it's all in this room, to know we'll be doing that. I'll be doing that event, so I'm not dropping the ball, not just gotta wait for MSP to get back with me. Make my question, go.
Along that line there, who does the state police do the internal fair work?
Yeah, Superior as far as, well, with Deputy Moulton, yes. So anytime there's an officer involved shooting, excessive use of force in a sense you want to say, or anything like that, you call an outside agency. MSP is not like, it's not automatic, we have to call them. They just have better resources.
Yeah.
They have more bodies, they have more resources. I'll let the people here know, because I know there's sometimes things get confused. And of course, you know, if you want to answer, just go to Facebook, because that's where all the answers are, but facetiously. But what, I didn't turn the investigation over. Some people said, well, what, the sheriff can't handle incidents like that, they gotta call in extra help. We don't have the robots. We don't have, there's information that didn't come out in the report of why I had to call in the bomb squad. We don't have that here in Presque. I wish I had a bomb squad. I wish I had robots and drones and the toys that the state police have. If you'd have seen it out there, everybody in this room, no matter what, who it is, you've been impressed. I mean, they had huge rigs they bring in with heaters and TVs in it and everything, and they fly the drone right into the house. And with the robots, they were doing the robots from the truck down the road. And the robot actually went into the house through the back door and, you know, was able to go into the house and send the people in to keep them safe. So but we had to get search warrants. That's what took so long that night. We had to do it all by the book because there was a shooting involved. So you gotta get search warrants, and those take a while. It's not what you see on TV, everything's done in 45 minutes by the end of the episode. So it just took a lot. And then we had animals involved. We had injured animals involved. We had to take care of those the best we could. So it was just a huge event, but the response, every single entity was covered there in first responders from law, fire, and ambulance, and I just can't thank them enough. I just absolutely cannot thank, and the community, we never had a community person give us a hard time. The area residents were fantastic. It was just outstanding. So, yep.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Sarah?
Something that kind of fell on my plate, it's not really my job, but I'm kind of taking it on and helping. We're looking at all municipality buildings, facilities, to see what the AED supply is throughout the county, to make sure that there's adequate AEDs in the buildings, making sure that we have trained personnel in the buildings. This includes schools, as well as stop the bleed training and supplies. So I'll be talking to Kelly shortly about on a way too, but it kind of started off in the schools as to what they had available. I did find a foundation that will equip schools with AEDs as the funding becomes available. There's a foundation down in Troy, Michigan. Their goal is to equip every high school with the appropriate AEDs necessary. So we have that. And so we're just trying to get things lined up to make sure we have AEDs throughout the county in places that may potentially need them, as well as to stop the bleed. So again, not really under my umbrella, but kind of I'm taking it on with Mike here at the county
You're
building.
talking about defibrillators.
Mhm.
And stop the bleed
Just
kits.
get one of those.
They talked about it in the building around, stop the bleed kits too. Good stuff.
Thanks for taking that on.
Well, that's another discussion. So I have, so before I came to this role, I worked in Lansing, and so the grant program I was over was providing AEDs to rural communities, rural hospitals, rural health clinics, and so I was trained. As well as I've been trained, gotten all the training necessary for the Stop the Bleed as well. However, my job description does not fall under the type of person they're looking to be certified. So working through that process for emergency managers to potentially get certified to be able to go out and train. It's not difficult. Once you've been trained, it's very easy to do. So that's all coming down the pipeline. So kind of at a little bit of a standstill. My position is very flexible where I can go out and do the training for folks, where we're very limited with our law enforcement and our EMS because of personnel. So, you know, I'm available to do it and work around my schedule, you know, to go out and do training. It's just getting that certification to be able to do it. So hopefully it'll all come together.
The last one was 2016. I participated with the previous registrar was still living at that time in Emory, and her husband from emergency services.
So we need to have some things in place. So we'll work towards that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nothing at this time. Yeah.
Al. Sorry, I didn't mean to forget.
Not a problem. I'm used to this from one of the previous boards who
I'm sorry.
didn't have a problem citing me back there. But at any rate, I know we got some new faces we haven't met. So I will introduce myself. My name is Al Stiller. I'm your airport manager. Whatever you've heard about me, good or bad, I would ignore that. Cliff, you've got my number, but I'll give it to you again and you know where to find me. I don't want to take up a lot of time because if I get talking on the airport or aviation, we may end up having to order in for dinner. I could talk to Target Alpena people under the table with ease. I just want to let you know a couple things. I would like to invite you to come out and visit the airport if you get a chance. If you're a couple of the committee members who are in charge of oversight of the airport, I would encourage you strongly to come out and talk with me, spend a couple hours. In that rate, I can familiarize you a little bit with the airport operations procedures. So when we do sit down, talk on a committee level, or I come in front of the board with some requests or information, you have a little bit better understanding than you probably have now, and it will dovetail together. Or we can do it the other way. You just implicitly trust me, and when I come in and ask for something, you just say, go with it, Al. That I wouldn't recommend. So if you get a chance to get out to the airport, give me a call, make some time. Be glad to have you out there. We can sit and chat a little bit, explain some things, and then I think everything will go a lot better. A couple items out there. One of the things previous board, we did elect to raise the hangar rents incrementally a couple of years ago because we had been so far behind. They're scheduled targeted to go up February 1st. What I'd like to do, what I'm going to do, hopefully with your approval, I'd like to offer my tenants a discount for paying, prepaying. I do have one that does prepay. It would make it a lot easier. We don't have a perfect method for tracking payments. Sometimes people send them in, they give them to me, they send them to the county. We do have a pretty good way if I could offer people an incentive to pay 6 months in advance or a year in advance. We give them a discount. That way the clerk's office people up there don't have to spend time chasing this around. I don't have to. As an example, how it wasn't targeted previous to me being there, we had one tenant, we hadn't paid a hangar rent in 3 years. There was no tracking system. Nobody knew about it. Another tenant hadn't paid his hangar rent for 19 months. We got a good system now, but it could be better. And I think the discount, whether everybody would take it or not, I don't know, but it would certainly go a long way to maybe freeing up some time on all of the parts. So I think it would be worth it. I'd like to do that. Guys approve of that. Hangar rents is 175 now, they're targeted to go up to 195. If they took discount 6 months, it would be 185.25. If they paid for a year, it'd be essentially no change, 175.25, but that would save us the back and forth and having to do that. Also, if we get the new hangar, maybe an incentive to get people up here to round out the field. The other thing, like I said quickly, we've talked about need for a vehicle out at the airport, a pickup truck. I've been using my truck for 6 years, servicing the airport grounds when I need to, things you can't do, the tractor can't do. It's pushing 300,000 miles. At some point in time, it's gonna die. We could use a pickup truck with a blade for plowing some of the smaller stuff mentioned before. Hopefully we can sit down and discuss it. My thought is if you could give me the truck that Mike Tuck has here, it would be perfectly usable. Transfer that truck to me, need to get a new vehicle for this. I don't need a brand new truck, but we could use a vehicle. It's a little bit at times taxing, a little tricky to plow snow around some of the smaller items with a 16-foot blade. Truck would make it easier. A lot of issues, like I said, come out and visit me so we can talk about it. You can understand things that are going on. We also have, it looks like last year I made an application with the state of Michigan. The federal government gave them $4.5 million to disperse to airports for use. We had crack sealing done just by the nature of the game and everything. We weren't able to do all the cracks. We have some larger cracks on the ramp. I did place a request with MDOT for some money out of the $4.5 million to finish some of the crack sealing, and it looks like we're going to get about $15,800 to come back in and take care of some more of the large cracks on the airport. So things like that, like I said, there's a lot of things I think you probably should be aware of if you're overseeing the airport, and also if you're having a list of my requests, this thing will just work out a little bit better for all of us and minimize the time we spend here. Any questions?
How many planes do you have?
We've got, right now, we've got 7.
Room for how many?
We've got room for 8. And here's a quick explanation. The reason for the hangar, if you have 9 more aircraft on the field, you're entitled to FAA funded money. 9 more aircraft on the field, we would be guaranteed $150,000 a year from the FAA, which could go towards helping the county maintain the facility. Right now, we're under that. We got lucky when I had my plane and with a couple other tenants that we managed to qualify for that funding one time, which is why we've got the hangar, because between bill money for COVID and the one-time meeting the requirements, we got enough money to build a hangar. Not a lot. It's not a Cadillac, it's a Chevrolet, but we've got something. So we get the hangar built. We now have the ability to get 9 planes or 10 planes or 12 planes on the field. We have the ability to go for that $150,000 a year. This was proposed way back when I took the airport manager position over. The county could not see itself to spending its money to do the hangar. Had we taken that gamble at that time, we could have built that hangar for less than we're building this hangar. Would have been our money that we were building. This is all federal money. We would have had that hangar built. I would have had my 9 or more planes on the field, and I would have had $300,000 to $450,000 in the bank with the FAA for maintenance and improvements on the field. But because we dragged our feet, we didn't do it, we don't have that money. And now, so hopefully this whole goal of mine is get the hangar built, get the planes up, we can get the money. This field operates very economically. No, it doesn't pay its way all entirely, but there isn't a department, the sheriff's department, that pays 100% of its way. You can't do it.
Those figures you gave, well, that's monthly rentals,
Monthly rental is $175 a month.
if they pay the whole shot up front.
If they pay the whole shot up front, well, then, you know, if they're gonna pay me 6 months, they're gonna give me 6 months of, as opposed to 175, 6 months, you would be paying 185 and a quarter versus 195.
Right.
Pay me for a whole year, you'd be paying 175.50, which we don't come away a lot, but the savings and time and everything and the guarantee of money is a lot better. And it's an incentive for people to come here. Alpena is building additional hangars. Had we done this moved earlier, we'd have beat them to the punch. I had a number of people from Alpena call, said he got hangar. I still got a call. He's been calling for 5.5 years. When are you going to get the hangar? Alpena is now going to build 2 10-row T hangars, which is 20, and they're going to build a larger community hangar. So we could have beat them to the punch. Now we're going to have to compete with Alpena. People will drive 40 miles. They'll drive an hour to where the airplane is based if it's an airport that serves their needs, is friendly, and is economical. So we do have still a way to compete with Alpena for that traffic or Sheboygan. But it's not gonna be as easy as it was. I'm trying to, I am confident, I'm pretty positive on it. We will get the hang of it. So,
Well, we got the grant.
and we got the grant money. Hopefully, we've got the money, the state portion, the NP money was released to the state. So we have half of our money. We're waiting on the bill money for approval. I did talk to MDOT, it's on the docket, so apparently it is being discussed. When we're gonna get that money. They started reviewing the applications again in November after a brief period, they stopped. They started reviewing the applications again in November. I was told somewhere between December and April. We're hoping to start construction on April, but start of construction is predicated on receiving the bill money. At that point in time, aggregate is $407,000. Yeah, $400-some thousand. The amount of money we have in the bank is about $430,000. There may be some leftover money in that process, depending on how things go, if there are any change orders, things like that. And so some of that money can be reimbursed back to the county. The problem being is the design money. I'm doing it. The money we spent on the design previously can come back to us at a future time once we get the 150,000, we get the plane count up, we get the $150,000 a year, then that 50 grand that gets spent on design can come back to us and be reimbursed. Right now, there isn't going to be enough money left over. I was hoping there would have been some, but there won't add up to peanuts. But I'm going to stop myself here unless you got questions and want to keep this going.
All right. Thanks, Al. Correspondence.
Is an email here. There's not enough copies for everybody, but I can make more after about a group wanting to purchase a lot. A nonprofit organization next to one of their nature preserves that is owned by the county. It's out in Presque on Grand Lake.
I gave a copy to Mr. Crook. He'll go look at it because not far from the house. Look at the map on the second page. I'll make a motion for payroll.
Second.
Motion support, roll call vote.
Presque,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Crook,
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes.
Question, did we really adjourn before we have to do the program? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Or
February 13th.
Aye.
I'm going to.
Don't you love it?